Hey man, listen, this is ALGORIDGMO MMA here, aka Alex. First and foremost, guys, like I always say, I hope you all are doing well. And in today's video, man, I'm going to be bringing out another tier list for you guys to start off the week. We're going to be talking about the best promotions in the world, you know, the best MMA mixed martial arts promotions all across the world. I'm going to be ranking them on a tier list from S all the way to D, giving my thoughts on who the best promotions are, why they are the best promotions, and who really has the best fighters in the world. But before I get into that, man, if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be doing big things in the future, man, so stay tuned. Okay guys, so to start off the tier list, as you can see down below, I have 10 different MMA promotions across the world. These are some of the best, most popular MMA promotions with the highest level fighters. And we're going to start right away with the B Leagues, aka Bellator. We're going to go ahead and chuck Bellator at B tier, which is pretty obvious. I actually think Bellator is kind of underrated. They do have a lot of good fighters there. However, we know that a lot of Bellator fighters end up making their way to the UFC, and most of them aren't that good. I'm going to be honest with you. We've also seen a lot of UFC fighters, you know what I mean, UFC veterans, guys like Sergio Pettis, Ryan Bader, so many guys who have come over from the UFC who were, you know, ranked, who are top 10 potential, and they come over to Bellator and they end up crushing it. They end up, you know, winning the belt in their respective weight class. They end up defending the belt numerous times. One thing that sucks about Bellator, guys, which is probably one of their biggest flaws, is they absolutely suck when it comes to marketing their fights, okay? I do not know, like, I genuinely never know when Bellator is on because they do an absolute trash job in marketing their fights on their Instagram. That's kind of my opinion about Bellator. I think it's a pretty underestimated promotion, but we're going to keep it at B tier. Next up on the list, boys, we're going to go with KSW, okay? So for those who don't know what KSW is, it's a mixed martial arts promotion in Poland. I'm pretty sure it's owned in Poland. And it's basically just full of absolute juiced heads, absolute secret juice. Guys who are on the secret sauce, man. If you know, you know. It's a pretty decent promotion. Let me go ahead. Let me put it at C tier. You know, I don't really rate KSW. I think it's pretty good. I think there's a lot of great fighters that come from KSW. To the UFC, we have Mateusz Gamrot, Mateusz Rebecki. There's a lot of guys who have came from KSW to the UFC, but I'm just going to say it, I don't really rate it that much of a promotion. You know, it's not like a promotion where it's like feeding, you know, so many great fighters and that. So it's going to be at C tier for me, man. Okay guys, for the third promotion that we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the UK, aka England's biggest MMA promotion for a long time. We're going to be talking about Cage Warriors. Let me go chuck Cage Warriors at, I was thinking about C tier, but honestly, I'm going to put them at B tier. You know, I respect Cage Warriors a lot. There's been so many great UK fighters that have come from Cage Warriors to the UFC. I'm going to put them all on the screen, but there are lots of, you know, Cage Warriors fighters that have gone on to fight in the UFC. But yeah, I still respect KSW, but I'm going to put Cage Warriors in B tier, you know. Paddy Dabadi, you know, so many people have come from Cage Warriors. Michael Bisping was the champion at Cage Warriors, I believe. You know, there are so many people who've come from Cage Warriors, you know, including the GOAT, Jai Herbert. But hey, man, I'm going to keep it at B tier, okay? I got a lot of respect for B tier. Real quick, guys, before we get to the video, if you're watching still, I just want to thank you guys so much. Go ahead and smash that like button. I just wanted to let you all know that I will be enhancing my audio. As you can see, if you might hear the audio, it sounds like dog shit, bro. So I'm going to buy a mic. I'm going to invest in this channel a lot, but yeah. Moving on, guys, we're going to be talking about the fourth promotion, ONE FC. I think this is going to surprise a lot of people where I'm going to put ONE FC on the list. If you take a look, man, we're looking at A tier for ONE Championship, and I'm going to have to explain my reasons. The first reason I think ONE FC deserves to be at A tier is because, unlike Bellator B tier, ONE FC actually do a great job of promoting their fights, you know what I mean? If you ever see those TikToks, those little shorts on Instagram, those YouTube reels where it's like MMA fights happening, most of the time it's the fighters from ONE FC. It's usually a ONE FC event going on. They're very popular on social media. I think one thing that kind of stands out for me for ONE FC, other than all these other MMA promotions, is that ONE Championship actually have all different types of combat sports on their events. So, for example, you know, they do jiu-jitsu match, they do grappling matches, like they do Muay Thai fights, and they do MMA fights all on the same card. They do these events, like, I don't know how often, maybe once or twice a year, but they are absolutely stacked, and it's a very cool way to, you know, gain an audience, to attract these new MMA watchers that want to see all different kinds of combat sports being played. If you have a look at the revenue and the ratings that ONE FC make, they are very popular, and they are, you know, one of the biggest MMA promotions all across the world, other than the UFC, obviously. I genuinely think that ONE FC have a great set, of fighters. I think they have a really good roster. They have some great fighters there, some great Muay Thai fighters, some great grapplers, some great MMA fighters that could definitely go to the UFC and do well. Look at Demetrius Johnson at ONE FC, you know what I mean? Obviously traded for Ben Askren, and now he's doing really well at ONE FC. So honestly, ONE FC for me, we're putting it at A tier, bro. Like I said, you know what I mean? Really, really popular just behind the UFC. They're mixing it up with all these different combat sports on their events, and it's really exciting to watch. Their fights are always amazing and fun to watch, so A tier's the spot, man.
Yeah, shut your fucking mouth, your ways over fucking thing. Guys, we're going to be looking at the PFL, alright? So, we're going to put them at B tier. We're definitely going to put them at B tier. I'm going to put them ahead of Bellator, alright? I genuinely think the PFL are kind of making moves, alright? They recently signed Francis Ngannou. The UFC fumbled Cedric Doumbé, who's this highly touted kickboxer. He just got a 9-second KO in the PFL, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, another L for the UFC. I feel like the PFL is really decent, if I'm going to say anything. I think the PFL is exactly where it belongs at B tier. I think it's definitely better than Bellator, but not by much. And I don't think it's as good as ONE FC. All I'm going to say is, the PFL, they have a $1 million, tournament bracket. I just don't think their fighters are that high level, man. I'm going to be honest with you. It's weird because a lot of UFC fighters that go to the PFL, they end up losing. I don't know what the curse is. I don't know why that happens, but yeah. I'm giving the PFL its respect it deserves. Maybe I could talk more about the PFL. Maybe I could talk less. But for now, it's going to be a high B tier. So,
alright guys, for the 6th promotion on this list, we're going to be talking about Brave FC. I was thinking about chucking Brave FC at C tier for a long time, but I'm going to give it the respect it deserves. We're going to put it at B tier. My reasoning why Brave FC deserves to be at B tier, it's going to be a low B tier, but I actually do think it's a pretty decent promotion, alright? There's a lot of great fighters that fight in Brave FC. Obviously, my boy Carlson Harris, if you know, you know. I'm pretty sure he was the champion there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah. There's a lot of great fighters there, man. Prospects. So many people that come over to the UFC. I don't know how to really explain it. It's a promotion based in Abu Dhabi, I'm pretty sure, or some shit like that. And all I know is it's a very high-level promotion. There's a bunch of great fighters. Renat Fakhretdinov, the GOAT. The GOAT got signed from Brave FC. Carlson Harris did. A lot of these guys that get into the UFC, man, are from Brave FC. It's a very high-level promotion, like I've said. So it's a low B tier for me. Moving on to the 7th promotion that we're going to be talking about on this tier list, guys. Rizin FC, okay? This is pretty much like the fucking pride, of today's MMA world, you know what I mean? This is literally Pride FC of 2023. I really like Rizin FC, okay? I think Rizin is super underrated. I'm going to have to chuck it at C tier. So I'm going to have to put Rizin at a very high C tier just because I don't think, the Rizin pool talent is that good. I don't think their roster of fighters is that great. Obviously, they do some mixed events with Bellator at certain times in the year, but I don't think their roster is all that good, I'm going to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I think Rizin put on some great shows. I think they're super fun to watch. I was actually watching one of their events last night, and I can say it's pretty fun. It's a really fun promotion to watch. The last thing I want to say about Rizin FC, man, is why it's so underrated is because it's been around for a while now, but not many people really know it. It's just that promotion in Japan just kind of chilling. And if you're a hardcore enough MMA fan, then you've heard of it, you watch it, and you might like it. So for me, it's a high-level C tier. Not only that, but guys like Yuri Prochazka, Manel Kape, you know what I mean? There have been numerous guys who have come from Rizin to the UFC and are doing really well. Both of these guys were champions in Rizin as well, so that makes everything even better. So for me, I'm going to have to put Rizin at a high-level C tier. I really do enjoy Rizin, guys. Alright guys, the 8th MMA promotion that we're going to be talking about on this tier list will be Eternal MMA. I'm going to go ahead and actually put Eternal MMA at B tier, which is going to surprise a lot of people. Guys, I will be honest, I think Eternal MMA deserves to be at B tier, you know what I mean? Just because it's Australia's biggest MMA promotion. And I gotta say, dude, there's so many young talents that are coming out of Eternal MMA into the UFC. Recently, we just had Steven Erceg. As you can see by my screen, I'm gonna chuck all of the fighters that I know from Eternal MMA that are in the UFC now. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. There's really not much to say about Eternal MMA. I think Eternal MMA is a very high-level promotion with a lot of great fighters, and I honestly think in the future it's going to rank even higher up on this list. It's going to become like a Cage Warriors, something like that. It's really building into a high-level MMA promotion in Australia. So I'm going to keep it at the end of B tier. It would be normally at C tier, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, guys. Moving on. Finally, guys, we have made it to the last two MMA promotions on this tier list. I just want to say, if you guys have stuck around to the end of the video, guys, thank you so much. If you haven't already, smash that like button and subscribe to my channel while you're new. Next up is the LFA. Now, for me personally, Cage Warriors has, blended so many Cage Warriors champions, into the UFC, right? But I'm going to have to put the LFA in front of Cage Warriors. If I'm being honest, the reason I have to put the LFA in front of Cage Warriors is, although Cage Warriors have plenty of champions that have gone on to fight into the UFC, I just feel like the LFA has been a promotion feeder or a feeder promoter to the UFC for so long now, you know what I mean? So many guys have made it from the LFA to the UFC. It happens on a yearly basis, you know what I mean? There are guys coming in on short notice from the LFA to take up fights in the UFC. There are so many LFA champions that move on to fight on the UFC. Guys, I have to put it in front of Cage Warriors. Like I said, Cage Warriors is fairly high up on this list, but the LFA surpasses it by miles. There are so many UFC fighters currently right now who previously fought in the LFA or were even an LFA champ, as you can see by the screen. Moving on. Jiu-Jitsu black belt? Who give this guy a black belt, brother? Boys, we are moving on to the UFC, okay? This is not even a fucking question. Listen, bro. All I'm gonna say is, when people cross you on the street and they want to ask you about MMA, they're gonna ask you, yo, bro, do you know what? Do you do UFC? Do you train UFC, bro? Like, people don't even consider MMA. Like, if people would know what MMA is, they'll just call it the UFC. So that's literally all you need to know, bro. The UFC has made it. They are the main MMA organization. We know this, brother. We know this. Not much else to say. That is going to be the end of the video today, guys. If you enjoyed, man, make sure to give it a like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, man. Let me know who you would rank on the tier list differently with these promotions. And stay tuned, bro. I'm going to be dropping my picks later this week, obviously for this weekend's UFC Fight Night card. But yeah, you guys have a great night. Hey, stay blessed. This is ALGORIDGMO here. Peace.